Also under communication breakdown is not reminding the Dom of their role when necessary. And that one may cause some heads to kind of snap around. What did he just say? How dare my submissive remind me of my role? Now, it is a very, very fine line between telling your Dom what to do and having a conversation with them. My friend that I will reference frequently, that is a submissive that I've known since I was a child, she had a Dom that started neglecting her. It was a long distance relationship, and it wasn't only long distance. It wasn't just like an internet thing. But after some time, he became inconsistent. He wasn't paying her as much attention as she required, as they had negotiated, and started becoming very laxed with the rules. And so she had to have a chat with him and say, hey, what's going on here? And it's in a very respectable way. Just as I always say, when a submissive asks for a check-in, it's going to be something that is a respectable question. And a dominant should not have a problem with that in most cases. Now, I do know people who don't allow their submissives in certain cases to ask for a check-in. They have to wait until the scheduled weekly check-in. And in those cases, the reason that usually occurs is because it's a submissive that is somewhat of a brat or is a bottom slave. And the only time that they are actually truly allowed to have that check-in is if they feel that they are immediately being abused. And at that point, there's a safe word. So when that safe word is called, which is extremely rare because these are good dominants that these submissives have trusted themselves with, typically it does not just happen. In fact, I have seen one case where the submissive, who is a bottom slave, wears gimp masks whenever they're at home, not allowed to turn their back on their dominant, which should be common practice. Mine typically have to take 3 steps backwards before they're allowed to turn and walk away. But I have seen them call a safe word and state the reason for it. And even me, I just kind of shook my head and I couldn't believe what it was for. And I don't even remember the real reason of it, but it was something basically just kind of like a little gripe fest of nonsense that needed to be taken to the journal. Now, that may sound a little bit harsh on my part or inconsiderate, but we are talking about dominance and submission here. And in this particular case, and maybe you would just have to be there and witnessed it to understand it, but that's exactly what that Dom did was, no, I don't think so. What you can do is go to your room, spend an hour in meditation over what you just did, and then make a journal entry of at least 5 pages. And I agreed 100% with the outcome of that. Not that it's my place to judge it one way or the other, but I just kind of smiled and went right on, In some cases, that's okay. But most of the time, when it comes down to it, that communication in your general, and again, that was a very specific situation. So in general, with these other types of submissives, it's excruciatingly important to have that open communication and to be open to your submissive, having them kind of call you out if you become lazy. And it's happened to me. I've been called out on that a couple of times. You're not doing what we agreed on. You're right. I got busy and I've neglected the DS relationship. So it's very important. And, I stress that. But without that communication, it will blow up in your face. As I said, I think 3 times in the last episode, it will not work. And what I mean by that is it will not work. Moving to the next one, number 4, topping from the bottom. That one personally is one of the most irritating things to me, and I'm quick to snuff that one out. I do not tolerate it, and that's one of the reasons why I don't deal well with the brats. Why it's not really my thing is because topping from the bottom is when the submissive is being the top, is running the show, and they lose sight, and the dom loses sight of who is in charge and the reason that the dominant was in charge to begin with. And they just start taking over, and it will bleed the relationship dry. There again, that's one of those things that is just going to extremely erupt. And when it does, it's going to be bad. So you have to watch for that, and you can't let it become a pattern. If it happens once and you don't do anything about it, then as a dominant, it's our job to train our submissives. And if you don't train them immediately on that one, that is not okay, then it's going to happen over and over and over, and it's going to become the norm. And at that point, there is, from what I've seen, almost no hope for recovery in that DS relationship. And at that point, the explosion is soon to happen. And there we are again at missing parts of the face. So watch very closely for that. The final one, just as one of the common mistakes with a dominant is being domineering and not dominant, one of the common mistakes with a submissive is not knowing the difference. Thinking that the dominant is supposed to be this controlling boyfriend, this jealous goon that just demands absolutely everything and has an abusive control. And it's a lot in attitude and tone and intent. If the intent is to just feel this power and this control, then that leads to abuse. If the intent is to have this relationship based on love and respect, and again, this is in a DS relationship, not in the hardcore BDSM, the scene side of it. If you don't have that love and respect and that wanting to train and teach, as a dominant, we're trainers, we're teachers, not just disciplinarians or authoritarians in the majority of a DS relationship. Now, there is the high etiquette, high protocol, which to the outsider may seem as though it's very authoritative, but it's very orderly and designed to make sure that all these other points are not missed. It's not just a reminder to the submissive that they're my submissive. It's also a constant reminder to myself that this person has entrusted me with their life. Really is what it comes down to, with making them a better person, with training them in the areas that we have talked about, with teaching them how to be a better person and to see them grow and the energy that they receive from that. Knowing the difference between someone who is a dominant and someone who is a bully, who is domineering and abusive. And that's one of the things that these young ladies coming into this, again, really need to know the difference and understand it well and know how to spot it. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for this week. Next week's agenda, probably going to get into the ups and downs of dom drop and sub drop and talk about what it is to be a switch. And that one is, I could do an entire series on what it is to be a switch. That is a huge undertaking in itself, but I'm going to try to break it down to the basics of a switch in a DS relationship. It's a very interesting dynamic. I know some switches, of course, and seeing how it works is fascinating. Seeing how it ends up dissolving can teach us a lot, and will teach those people a lot. And it doesn't always dissolve. I mean, some people pull it off perfectly. Others, not so much. It's like with anything in life. There are people who are great with certain things, and other people not so much. But the people that are not so much at that one thing may be really good at something else. Diversity. That's what it's all about. All right. So to give a quick rundown of how to get in touch with me, you can find me on Facebook, Cauldron Fire, on Twitter, @Master Cauldron. Instagram is Cauldron Fire, one word. If you want to make a donation, Cauldron's Crypt, that's at patreon.com, Patreon. You can donate as little as $1 a month, and it just automatically comes out of your account. Also, you can make a donation through PayPal as Master Cauldron. That's one word if you search for that. Or you can just go to cauldronscrypt.com/contact resources. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'll find all those links right there for you. That website is going to be changing soon. It will keep the name, but I've redesigned a much sleeker look. I'm just waiting on a few of the back end things to get finished up. Also, if you want to take that limits and kinks survey that we talked about last week, it is also on that same page, cauldronscrypt.com/contact resources. Make sure you put your email address in there, and after you fill it out, and give yourself about a half hour to 45 minutes to do that, it will be emailed to me, and then I will email it back to you. I've not got that switched around where it directly emails to you yet, but that is also coming very soon. So I'll let you know as soon as those changes are made, if that's what you're waiting on to fill that out. It's really interesting just seeing it in black and white. I will go onto my own website and fill out my own survey once a month, once every couple of months, just to see maybe something's changed, see if I have a different perception or point of view on it. Thank you for tuning in. The crypt will open up again next week. I am Master Cauldron for cauldronscrypt.com.